My name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel. Or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. I'm on a road trip with these two goons. And this weekend is the Festival of Words. So join us. Roll the B-roll clips. Hello, beautiful people. It is too fucking hot today. Happy Thursday. Wow, my hair is looking like something. It's too hot. Thanks. I'm getting the fruit. But Sophie and I came back to the Airbnb for a hot second because we were hot. And Yelene's currently in a, where are you? Over here. And Yelene's currently in a workshop. So why not? Right? You good? Oh, baby, you're dripping. Oh my God, do you want to sit in like my room or your bedroom or something?
I'm gonna put up some fans.
Oh, yeah, that too. I'm gonna get some forks for the fruit as well. But first, let me show you the things I got today. First up, bracelet. I got a bracelet. I'm gonna turn you around. Ignore the mess, but I got this cutie little like creamer thing that looks like it reminds me of Mary's Cottage in Airman Book 3, so I had to, and it was like $2 at a little thrift store. And then I saw this mug in the same shop that I got the bracelet at, so I absolutely had to. It is the perfect size, and I love the colors. 10 out of 10. And then, so far, I've gotten 3 books. I paid for 3 at a little like used bookstore here. Like all 3 of these, of the Dragon Riders of Pern series, were $12 together, and I love these covers so deeply. And then our friend let us take some copies of books that they have multiples of for the festival, which is so kind of them. So I took this one, and I plan on getting 2 or 3 more when the bookstore opens in the next couple days, like the actual festival bookstore. But those are the goodies of today. Anyways, we're gonna sit because we are hot. We're gonna enjoy some fruit. We're just gonna sit and enjoy the coolness of the moving air. Because there's no air conditioner in here, but at least it's cool in here. Love it.
Thank you all for coming here tonight. Our film's a little bit longer than usual tonight, so I'm gonna keep this short.
River Mama is a Jamaican water deity who has a golden comb. A tourist from Toronto has stolen her comb, and she comes to Toronto and tasks my main character and her co-workers to find the comb.
Day 3. We are good travel buddies. I do like jinxing it though. Yeah, I don't also think it's really.
Our next author, David A. Robertson, is a two-time Governor General's Literary Award winner and has won the TD Canadian Children's Literature Award and the Writers' Union of Canada Freedom to Read Award. He has received several other accolades for his work as a writer for children and adults, a podcaster, a public speaker.
Seabird biologist, a food critic, a comedian, a fiction writer, or maybe a poet concerned about the environment and the ecosystem. I wished that preparing for my readings and sessions didn't have to involve any pain, re-traumatizing stories, or the burden of representing not one but two countries and two nations. However, I also know that I wouldn't be here if not for all these experiences that I had and the life that I've had. So for that, I'm grateful.
Along either side of the riverbank, and as the others rode on, laughing and dreaming of warm beds and hot food, Roman's gaze drifted toward the thick trees. He'd been raised on a steady diet of fairy stories, told to him by an unending cast of elderly nannies.
She's been carrying his ashes around with her, holding him, smelling him, tasting what's left of him. Each day she takes a pinch of him, slips it into her mouth and lets her saliva and the pressure.
So what she suggested was to take the money that I would invest in the master's degree and to use it for writers' workshops. So I wrote my first book in Sage Hill.
So my obsession and love of...
Can you explain what D&D is?
Oh yes, yeah. For the uninitiated, D&D is Dungeons and Dragons. It's a tabletop role-playing game. I swear, Wizards of the Coast should probably give me royalties how much I have to plug and explain their product when I
100%.
talk about my own writing. But it's an immersive storytelling experience where you tell a goofy little fantasy story with your friends at a table, and you roll dice and crazy things happen, and you get to experiment with parts of yourself and like who you are inside or who you would like to be. And so it is about set in a fantasy world, very Tolkien-esque usually.
All right, y'all. We have finished. What are the vibes? What are the thoughts?
Always amazing.
Just getting ready to drive 7 and whatever hours home. And these two are just filming a TikTok. But
Remember to turn the camera, you know?
No, I'm not gonna do it on the sound.
hey friends, happy Monday. I'm home now. What a trip. What a time, y'all. Holy motherfuck. I'm so tired. We got home yesterday at like 8:39ish. I dropped my friends off. I came home, picked up Wendy's on the way, and just sat on my couch and did nothing. I actually fell asleep at like 11 o'clock last night. I slept for 12 hours. I woke up at 11 today. And then I had therapy at noon. So I'm glad I took today off of work because this is just the best relaxation time anyone could ever want. I went to pop in and like chat about the event and like talk about the books that I got and all the other things that I got, because of course I got so many things, y'all. I got so many things this weekend. It was so much fun. So the Saskatchewan Festival of Words, if you guys are curious, is hosted in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Canada, every year in July. It is a 4-day long event that encompasses workshops on the Thursday, events every night of the week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It has some of the biggest literary hard hitters come in around Canada. I don't think it's just Canadian specific authors either, but it is mostly Canadian specific authors from across Canada. It's just this wonderful event, and it has readings on Friday and Saturday. There are bigger panels, there are bigger discussions, and just wonderful, wonderful times. I'm so excited. Our friend SJ, who used to live here with us in Winnipeg, she moved to Moose Jaw for this job. Like, she got this amazing job as part of the Saskatchewan Festival of Words. She's part of it, part of the 3-person main team that runs it with another Sarah and an Amanda. And they have a bunch of other people also work for them. They are the 3 people who really put this together, and there's a whole cast of volunteers that were helping this weekend as well, or this whole week over this event. And my friends Sophia and Yeleni, last year when they went, they were part of the social media, so they ended up doing a lot of the social media content and promotion for this event when they were there last year. So they ended up getting to do that opportunity again this year, which was so fun to watch them do all the stuff. So when we got there Wednesday, because we ended up going early, we left Wednesday morning and drove all day, because from Winnipeg to Moose Jaw, it's like, if you're going full throttle all the way through, I think you can do it in 6 hours. Most of the time 6.5, depending on traffic and depending on construction. There was a lot of places on the highway that were down to like 80 clicks instead of the usual 110 on the Trans-Canada Highway. So it took us a little while, and we ended up like taking a couple breaks on the way because 1, you gotta pee. 2, we needed lunch. 3, we also just wanted to kind of explore some of the places that we were walking around. So it took us like maybe 8 hours to get there. We stayed at an Airbnb that didn't have air and it was one of the hottest weeks that we've had. It was 34 degrees every single day, roughly, like between 30 and 34 degrees. It was super fucking humid and super smoggy. Like the air quality wasn't great and it just kept getting worse throughout the week. So by that last day, I was suffering in the heat and I got heat stroke on Saturday, which was fun. But thank goodness, all the events were like in air conditioned rooms, or at least adjacent to air conditioned rooms. Like there was one reading that was not air conditioned, which is fine because like it was in the library and some of the rooms aren't air conditioned, but some of them are. When that reading was done, I just went to the air conditioning immediately. But yeah, so Thursday was first day of the actual like festival starting. There were some big like workshops that day. We didn't go to any of the workshops. I think Yeleni went to the book club workshop that was hosted in the afternoon, which was talking about Gishing Rice's book, Moon Over the Turning Leaves, which is the sequel to Moon of the Crusted Snow, which I read back in university. But she ended up going to that for an hour and a bit. And Sophia and I ended up like exploring Moose Jaw a little bit. But in the morning, they did a lot of their content and like actually like filming stuff because they were like, we should do it when we have all the energy at the beginning of the event. Which was smart, which was so fun. Friday was all like the reading days. After Thursday night, there was like the reception. It was like the inaugural event of the Saskatchewan Festival Boards, the kickoff officially. Then Friday we started in on the readings, and we got to sit in with a bunch of different authors, listening to them read and then talk about their books and then answer some questions, and it was so fun. Friday afternoon was the Let's Get Political talk with JL Richardson moderating. There was Esper Bergman, David A. Robertson, and Katharina Vermette, which, what a powerhouse. It was honestly one of my favorite events of the whole week, was listening to them talk. JL Richardson is amazing as a moderator. I love her so deeply, and she's so good at talking. I love it. I wish I had gone to more of her specifically moderated events. It was so cool. I think she also moderated the great book club thing. My mom called. I don't remember what I was talking about. I think I was talking about Friday. Yeah, I was giving you a lowdown throwdown of the festival. So Friday started the readings, and then in the afternoon there was the Let's Get Political. That's what I was talking about. The Let's Get Political talk, and then after that there was a poetry thing, spoken word poetry. There was so much every day, so many events. But when I was actually meeting the authors, which is I guess what I'll talk about next, y'all, I went in with a plan to only get like maybe 2 or 3 books this weekend because I went into this not knowing many of the authors or like not recognizing their names, except for like the literary hard hitters like Katharina Vermette and JL Richardson and David A. Robertson. Like those ones I knew because literary canon, right? It's Canada, right? We know our authors. So we know our big ones, right? So going in was kind of neat because even though our friend SJ had like given us a list of the authors and like their books and stuff, actually being there and listening to the authors talk about their books, read through their books, and like hearing about them and meeting the authors and seeing them discuss things and answer questions, it just does something to me. So I don't know if any of you are like this, but like when you actually hear an author talking about their work, you get more excited to read their work. And I did that multiple times this weekend. I ended up buying books twice because they had a like bookshop with all of the authors' books set up in the library, kind of in a room on the side that you could go and buy at any point in time. And then after each of the sessions, you could go meet the authors, and at the signing tables there, like they were like kept rotating in and out after each of the sessions. So it was fantastic. It was amazing. But when I first went, we were like kind of planning like the day before of like what events we wanted to go to because we had like the schedule. I knew because my friend SJ had said that one of the authors, Jess Battis, was non-binary, and their work was a Arthurian urban fantasy set in Vancouver, Canada. And I was like, bitch, Arthurian was all you needed to say. I'm in. And it's like so queer and so full of different representation. So I was like, well, I'm in. I'm going to go see Jess Battis talk. And I did. And I'm so glad that I did because I met them afterwards and I handed them, because of course I bought their book. Of course I fucking did. So that's one of them, The Winter Night by Jess Battis. And because I went to the festival, I asked SJ if I could do this because I didn't want to like overstep, but I brought like my stack of bookmarks with me, the promotional ones that I made. So like if I got talking to anyone, I could be like, oh yeah, no, I am an author. Here's my work. You can check me out, and like hand them a bookmark, right? And I asked SJ if I could do that, and she said, absolutely, go for it. Which was fantastic because I got to meet all these authors and be like, also like, hey, I'm also an author. Like check out my work. And every single time. Tess, I don't know if you're watching this, my lovely cover artist and beautiful friend. Every single time one of them were given one of the bookmarks, either Ari and Finn's or Kira and Lottie's, like, they were like, whoa, these are so pretty. That is all Tess's art. So every time they're like, these are so nice. I'm like, yeah, my friend, my cover artist ended up like letting me do this with the bookmarks. And then every time I was like, yeah, their handles are at the top of the bookmark. Go check them out. So we love to see it. Anyways, I got to tell so many authors that I'm also an author, which was so cool because actually getting to meet the authors at the table afterwards to have their books signed. So many of them, I actually ended up, because I gave the swag, Jess was like, oh, I have swag too, and like handed me this beautiful postcard with art on it. So love that. But yeah, this is Arthurian set in Vancouver. So modern day Vancouver, the Knights of the Round Table are still there. It's also a murder mystery, like one winds up dead. And it also mixes in some Norse mythology because Jess Baddis himself is a professor of like Arthurian and like medieval myth. So it was very interesting to hear them talk about all this wonderful myth and story and what they include in their book. And I'm so excited to read this. Y'all have no idea. So yeah, I got to meet Jess Baddis and give them a bookmark for Ari and Finn's story because I was like, I was inspired by BBC's Merlin. It works. So they ended up signing my book and said, Dear Jen, thanks so much for coming to the session and for your excellent question, because I asked a question. Do I remember what it is? No. I look forward to reading your work. Cheers, Jess. So I was very excited about this and I'm very happy I got this. So first day, I ended up picking up that book. I ended up picking up this one, and this one. Because I knew going in, one, I wanted to pick up specifically this book and this book. Because I knew going in, we were going to meet Brent Butt. And Brent Butt is a Canadian comedian of Corner Gas fame. If you've watched that show, you know our beloved Canadian icon Brent Butt, okay? We got to see a comedy show on Saturday. He did an hour comedy set and then like an hour interview afterwards, and then he was signing books, so I got to meet him. And I got this signed to my dad because he loves Brent Butt, and I thought it was going to be kind of fun to get this actually signed for him, and so I got it dedicated to him. It says, for Dave, with gratitude, Brent. I think that's really fun. So I actually really want to read this, so I might read it before I give it to my dad. I'm going to try and like squish it before I see him next because he's currently on a business trip, so I might read it this week. Anyways, Brent Butt. So I picked this one up for sure because I knew I was going to get it signed for my dad. And then I picked this one up, which is Who We Are in Real Life by Victoria Coops, which is a D&D book. Like, it's a D&D contemporary romance. It's a YA book, which is fine. But it's because it's got D&D mixed in. I had to pick it up because D&D. And then I also picked up this one because my friend SJ was like talking about it and saying that it was like kind of Percy Jackson-esque with the way that it's framed. Like, it's set in Toronto, big city, and like myths are coming to life, and like the main characters kind of have to go on a quest a la Percy Jackson. It's an adult book. So I was very interested in this and I ended up picking it up. And because of that, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go see this author talk, which is amazing because she did so well and I really enjoyed her reading. So anyways, yeah, so I picked up these books. But yeah, Friday, met Jess Baddis, got it signed. Then I was like walking around and I was trying to find this beautiful woman that I saw the day before at the event on Thursday, like one of the like starting inaugural events. I noticed her, I clocked her because she was tall like me and had red hair like me. And I was like, a tall queen, I need to make friends with her. And I had no idea that she was one of the authors of the event. She's Victoria Coops, who wrote Who We Are in Real Life. So I was like walking up, I had already bought this book because I knew, I was like, I'm gonna go to Victoria Coops' reading tomorrow because I had it in the schedule for Saturday. And I was like, I'll just get it signed after that. But because I had it in my bag and because I walked up to Victoria Coops and her like posse that she was around, I was like, I assume these people look like they're nerdy. I'm gonna give them some bookmarks. I'm gonna be like, hey, you guys like fantasy readers? I walked up and literally said that, and Victoria was like, girl, I'm a fantasy author. I'm Victoria Coops. And I was like, no fucking way. So I handed them my bookmarks, my book. I got so excited and I got her to sign my book, Who We Are in Real Life, which is so fun because we can like connect on social media afterwards. And she's such a wonderful person. I talked to her a couple times throughout the event, and you know, it's so nice to make connections like that. And I was like, girl, you're a tall queen. I knew I had to come say hi, even if like I didn't know who you were. I didn't recognize you because I don't know like faces, because I didn't really look at the images of any of the authors. So I was like, girl, I'm so excited. And she wrote, Jen, enjoy the adventure and never stop playing, reading, and writing XO, which I just love. I was talking to her about D&D and how like Ari, my character in a second story, was a D&D character first. So I'm so excited. And I got to pick this up, and I've read like 20 pages of this so far because I had heat stroke on Saturday and I needed to just sit in an office of air conditioning, not talk to anybody, not be around people anymore because I was very dizzy and a little nauseous. So I was like, I need to just not do anything. So I endlessly scrolled on TikTok and read 20 pages of this, and it was so cute already. So I need to get back into this, but love, so excited that I have this. But yeah, these are like the two authors that I was like, all right, fantasy and D&D, let's fucking go. And from there, it just got better and better and better because, as I said, like I got to meet Zalika and I got to listen to her talk, and River Mama sounds amazing, and I'm so excited to give this a read, truly. And I think it's like doing the rounds on Book Talk in some spaces, so I'm excited to give this a try and to read this. And also Brent Butt, which I've already talked about. And then I also got these two little cards. They are promotional art from one of the authors that was there that named Primi Muhammad. And I didn't end up going to any of Primi's readings except for the very last one on Sunday, which was a specifically like environmental one, which is not something that I'm interested in, but she's a biologist of some kind and is very into like ecosystems and she works with like specifically the grasslands and the prairies and stuff like that. So it was very interesting to hear her talk in that environmental space, but these were just gorgeous and I couldn't pass them up. So I got them both and they're so pretty. And this is for like book 1 and this is for book 2 with the 2 birds. So had to pick them up. I met Tim fucking Blackett. I met Tim, who's a mutual on TikTok, because he was there. He was one of the authors who was asked to be part of the readings on the Saturday, because he won a bunch of awards for this book, and he was part of like the award ceremony for Saskatchewan literary something or other, part of that specific reading on Saturday, which was so cool to actually see him in person. I didn't know he was going to be at the whole festival, but he was. Him and his partner came out on the Thursday, and I saw him there that night, and I met him, and he was like, oh my God, I didn't know you were going to be here. What the fuck? And I was like, yeah, we came up from Winnipeg. Guess what? We drove fucking 7 hours to be here. So it was really neat to see him, and I was so glad that I got to meet him and actually pick up his book. I didn't realize it was going to be at the store, so I picked it up immediately, and I didn't get a chance to have him sign it. I was carrying around this book with me the whole week. I didn't have a chance to get him to sign it until we were at Brent Butt's like comedy show, and between the comedy and then the interview, there was like a 20-minute intermission or whatever. We ran up, my friends, Sophia and Yeleni and myself all like got his book, because when they went to the reading on Saturday, his story that he read made them cry. So they immediately went and picked up their book. Like, this is the only book that Yeleni bought at the entire festival because she's like, it made me cry. And we got Tim to sign it at the festival. And then he invited us to karaoke. We got invited to go to karaoke with some of the authors, which was so fun. So we ended up staying for Brent Butt's interview and then the signing, and I was literally like, we can't not go to karaoke. Like, even though we've been out of the house since 8 this morning and it is fucking 11 p.m., we have to go to karaoke because you're not gonna say no to that, right? It's once in a lifetime to go to karaoke with some authors, right? So we were getting to the end of the interview and we were like listening to some of these questions from people in the audience, and I leaned over to Sophia and Yeleni and I was like, do you want to just run? So we're like one of the first in line for the signing and then we go to karaoke, and they're like, yeah. So as soon as it ended and as soon as everyone started clapping, we fucking booked it, and we were one of the first few in line that we could then go to karaoke, because there were so many people there that I was like, if we get caught in the float and have to wait for our signing books, we're gonna be there for like an hour. So we booked it and got our shit signed. It's so fun. I'm so glad that I got to meet Brent Butt. But then we got to go to fucking karaoke with Tim Blackett. And then when we were there, we met another author that was there, not part of the event, but she came down specifically just for like the literary event and for karaoke specifically. Like, she literally lives in Saskatoon and she's like, yeah, I'll drive 2 hours. Why not? Lisa Bird Wilson was there. We got to meet her and it was just so much fun. Like, they closed the bar at midnight, so we were there for like maybe 45 minutes. But it was so fun, and it was like the weirdest, wildest experience to have been invited to karaoke with these authors, and also to experience that and to just have a really great time. Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun. Oh my God. And then, oh my God. Okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. We also had trivia on Friday? Yeah, it was Friday night. There's trivia. So we knew going into this, the trivia was very, very, very competitive. People get really hyped up about trivia, especially at this literary event. And my friends and I were going in, we were like, we're gonna fail so spectacularly because this is about like literature and Canadian literature specifically. We're fucked. But we went in with great high expectations, and a couple of our friends actually who just moved to Saskatoon ended up coming down for Friday, the trivia event, and then stayed for all of Saturday and then left Saturday night back home. So we got to see them as well, which was so exciting. I'm so happy that we got to see Ellie and Luke because it had been so long since I'd seen them because they moved to Ontario for part of their education and like all that kind of stuff. So we got to see Ellie and Luke, which was amazing. And they came in for trivia, and they actually were fucking awesome at trivia. Like we did surprisingly well for what we thought we were gonna do. We did fantastic. But that day we met another author. Her name is Jenny Austria Bonifacio. And she, I think, was the brightest, sunniest human being I've ever met in my entire life. I love her so deeply. And she immediately like adopted us and we became besties. I ended up having to pick up her book just because I was like, I need to get her book so she can sign it so that I have like a keepsake of meeting Jenna Lee because I can't not. And her book is not something that I'm usually like a reader of. Like she's like, this is literary fiction of the highest caliber, right? This is inspired by Jenna Lee's work with refugees and immigrants, specifically the Filipino-Canadian experience. Jenna Lee Austria Bonifacio is an author and the founder of Filipino Talks, an initiative that builds bridges between Filipino families and Canadian school boards using survey data collected from over 1,200 Filipino students. During her 20-year career in settlement services, she completed an international studies. So she's like given her with all this stuff, right? This is so hard-hitting and she is so bubbly. I ended up going to her reading on the Saturday after meeting her on Friday, and then I picked up her book on Saturday and got her to sign it on Saturday. And she said in the front, Jen, 8,000 exclamation points. So glad that we found each other in Moose Jaw. Your trivia skills are A+, Jenna Lee. She's so sweet and she's so lovely. And she just immediately like lit up everything that was happening. It was so nice to meet her and we became besties immediately. It was fantastic. I'm so glad we got to. And by the end, she was like, at the last event of the day, I thought she had left already and I was gonna say like bye to her, but she found us as we were all like kind of leaving and like getting ready to go and like start our 7-hour road trip back home. And we all like did like a giant group hug, and oh, she was just so sweet. She's from Toronto. She lives in Toronto. I love her so deeply, and I really hope I get to see her again in person because she's just such a lovely human being. So I also picked this one up, and I'm very happy about that. And then on the last day, because I went to go see Katharina Vermette the day before, we went to go see Katharina speak with a Palestinian-Syrian spoken word poet, Abdul Salam Al-Shamat, and he was amazing. I don't get poetry ever, but like listening to him read his poetry because he's a spoken word poet was unreal. Like it was just so beautifully done. And then he was also part of the event later, which was like a spoken word poetry showcase, and he was spectacular in that. I am so glad we got to see him speak, and he was wearing a keffiyeh the whole time, and it was just gorgeous. And he was paired with Katharina Vermette on the Friday for their reading, which was a fantastic pairing because they just, I don't know, Katharina's just a calming presence. I love her so deeply. And I read her book, The Break, back in university. We studied it in university. And she has now The Circle, which is the final book in this like standalone companion connected trilogy that she's done with the characters from The Break. And so I was like, okay, well, I have The Break at home. And when we studied in university, Katharina was actually doing a talk at the university, and my friend SJ, who's now in Moose Jaw, funnily enough, she ended up taking my book for me that day to get it signed for me by Katharina because I had to go teach that night. I couldn't go to the reading at the university. So actually getting to meet her in person this time was so amazing. And I ended up picking up the sequel to The Break, The Strangers, which is following a different character, but it's like all from The Break as well, which is her debut. I had to pick this up, and I got her to sign it as well. And one of my highlights is being able to hand Katharina Vermette, who's one of the literary hard hitters of Canada, a bookmark for my books and say that I am also an author. Even though we don't write in the same genre, like, it's so cool to have done that. Like, that was honestly one of the highlights, was being able to be like, I'm also an author, here's a bookmark. And she was like, wow, these are beautiful. So yeah, that's all the books I got from the actual event and all the people that I got to meet and all the authors that I got to meet. And oh God, guys, it was so fun. I could talk to authors all fucking day, every day. Like, even though I am so exhausted, and even though I got like 12 hours of sleep last night because I just absolutely crashed, and even though my ankles are still swollen and I have like 5 different blisters on my feet from walking so much every day and being out in the heat, and my hair hasn't been washed since Wednesday. I'm gonna do that right after I post this clip because I need to get in the shower. I feel gross. It was such a fantastic trip. And I'm so glad I did it, because just meeting all these authors and getting to hang out with them. I've never done that. I've like, meeting authors in real life is not something that I've ever really done. And the only few authors that I've met in person were through a signing at McNally Robinson, and I've only done that twice. I've only met Miriam Taves and also Tessa Bailey and Yulin Kwong, which was this year. Those are the only author experiences I've had in person. Getting to meet this many authors and being in such a wonderful literary space was amazing. And I now want to hunt down more literary events that I can go to that are like close by to me. I think there's one in my city that I'm gonna definitely need to go research. I think we have a literary festival here as well. I need to go research that and see who's coming to Winnipeg and like if I can go to any of the events, because I think it's in the fall. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, so other than those books, I did get other things in Moose Jocks. Of course, I fucking did. You've probably seen one of them as I've been talking with my hands, but I got this bracelet at one of the boutique shops, and I've been like playing with it all weekend because it's a good like fidget as well. So I got that at the same store. I picked up this mug, which is gorgeous. It's this beautiful bee mug that I immediately saw, and I was like, that's coming home with me. I was drawn into the shop specifically because there was a beautiful Jellycat in the window. It's the Bartholomew Strawberry Jellycat, and I yearn for that Jellycat. He's $60 though. He was $60 at this place, and I was like, I can't justify buying a stuffed animal for $60. I just can't do it. So I got the bracelet and the mug instead. But that's why we were drawn into the store. And then we went back to the store later because they had more Jellycats in the window, and I got this little guy. His name is Egbert, and he's gonna hang out on my bookshelves. I love him deeply. And I got him in honor of Allie, my beautiful friend, because she has an egg and she yearns for the Jellycat eggs. She has a different egg than him, but I love him. It was either him or the scuba diving one, and this one just called my name. So we got Egbert, and now he is home and he's amazing. So Egbert, got him as well from that same shop. He was also too expensive, but not $60 expensive. I also got this tote from the Saskatchewan Festival Awards, which I knew immediately that I was going to be getting a tote. I didn't even bring a tote bag with me other than my like usual everyday one, because I knew I was getting one there, and I was like, this is gonna be fine. This is all I need to carry my books. So I got this one. It's beautiful. I love the design on this. Went to a thrift store with Sophia. So on the Thursday when Yeleni was in the Great Big Book Club thing, Sophia and I were like exploring Moose Jaw, went into a couple shops and stuff. We went to a little thrift, a little used bookstore, the only bookstore in town in Moose Jaw, and I got these 3 books. And the astute will be like, Jenna, you have this book already, a Dragonflight one by Anne McCaffrey. And I will say, yes, I do. But this is the cover that I wanted originally, that I ordered from Book Outlet, that did not come in this cover. It came in a different cover. So seeing this in person, I had to, because it also came with the second book, which is also gorgeous and the same vibe. And then the third book, which is also gorgeous, not the same vibe, but like kind of the same vibe. And every time I look at this dragon, I think he just looks funnier and funnier, and the guy riding it just looks funnier and funnier. So I got the trilogy, the first trilogy in the Dragon Riders of Pern series for $12. I had to. So right next door was a little thrift store called Second Chance. When we were walking around, Sophia got a couple earrings. I got this beautiful little creamer, little guy, this beautiful little creamer guy. Why? Because it looks exactly the vibe and the just, I don't know, it looks exactly like Mary's Cabin does in my head for Airmount Book 3. So I had to, and it was $2. So I had to, obviously. Last thing was on Saturday, there was like a market out on the street right in front of the library where all the events were, or most of the events were, and my friend and I were walking around, and we found a jewelry seller, and she was selling this beautiful, beautiful necklaces. I got this one. I'm gonna have to find a longer chain for it though, because this chain, I didn't realize until I put it on afterwards, is like a choker on me. I'm not here for being choked by my necklaces. So I love it though. It's so pretty. Yes, my friends, that is everything that I got in Boost Jaw. Spent an egregious amount of money on things that I don't need, but also food and gas because I had to get my friends there. And now I am so tired and I need to go shower and I need to turn my air conditioning back on because I turned it off to film this clip. So love that for me. And I've been talking to this clip specifically for like 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go. But that was my week of Moose Jaw. I hope you enjoyed watching the B-roll and stuff. Did I read a single thing this weekend? No. Not entirely surprising, even though I brought books with me to read. I brought my Kobo and then I brought Paladin's Grace as well by T. Kingfisher, which is really fun. Maybe I'll read something today. Who knows? Who knows? I'm so tired. But first and foremost, I'm gonna go wash my hair. Anyways, friends, I will probably chat to you in a bit, but what a trip. I also forgot to say, I got this little guy in Moose Jaw, a little dancing moose magnet. Isn't he cute? I love him. Hello, friends. It is now much later, and I should probably wrap up this vlog. Because did I read anything after that last clip? Absolutely not. I just sat on my couch after washing my hair. That's literally all I did. And that's okay, because sometimes we need to recharge and recoup after an incredibly long week. So I'm gonna leave this vlog here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I know it's not my usual content. I didn't read, I didn't talk about any writing. I didn't really do anything else, but it was a trip. It was a literary trip, so it kind of fits the bill. And I will catch you guys in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.